What did I tell you? What did I tell you was going to happen in a recent video? About what David Zalsav, had in store, what he had in mind, potentially what could happen. What did I say was going to happen? What did a lot of people say was going to happen, with HBO Max? After the news came out about the cancellation of a nearly completed Batgirl movie. What did people say was going to happen to HBO Max? What did people say was going to happen to HBO Max even, when this merger first happened? Again, what did people say was going to happen when AT&T sold off, Warner Brothers to Discovery? What did they say was going to happen? And now it is. Both Discovery Plus and HBO Max were going to merge. And that's exactly what's happening. And just like I said in the previous video, I said that it would take a year. It would take a year, and guess what? That's exactly what's going to happen. Because they made the announcement during the earnings meeting today, the conference call, if you will, that they're planning to relaunch both services as one in the summer of 2023. The reason they're not doing it right away, as I mentioned in the last video, and I'm going to mention again, is because they wanted to have the time to get their team together to manage this combined fusion of a service. That's what they're planning to do. They're going to use the next year or so to get their team together, to be in charge of the service, to run the service, as well as figure out what are the more popular shows, and movies, that they can, that they can showcase on the service. I mean, I'm sure they'll show a lot of what's already on HBO Max and Discovery Plus right now, but what will be the priority in the long run? Like, what will be the number one priority for the team that David Zaslav and Kathleen Finch and all of them puts together? What is going to be the main priority? That will be the question. Now, one thing that did come out of this, believe it or not, is they said that they're no longer going to have HBO Max. I don't know when this is going to be incorporated, but they're no longer going to have HBO Max focus on live action kids shows and family programming. Now, what does that mean for something like Tiny Toons University, in the future, as well as other programming that's already there and coming very soon? Well, I think if it's not like legit kids, live action stuff for kids or program for the entire family and everything, it's like if it's aimed at just one demographic, if you will, like one age group, then I think honestly shows like Tiny Toon University and others will be fine. Because if recent history has taught us anything, it's taught us that these kind of shows are always going to be made up to be aimed at the older audience. Like, these new interpretations are going to be made up to be aimed at an audience that grew up with the originals. Because they're going to do things, they're going to mention things, they're going to talk about things that, probably would fly over the head of the younger viewers. So I think Tiny Toons and any other show that's on the verge of coming, if you will, or on the verge of being released in the future, or already there, that's probably being renewed, I think they have nothing to worry about. I think they'll be completely fine. I think they'll be good to go. So for anybody, again, that was worried of, the future of HBO Max because of the cancellation of Batgirl, I don't think you have anything to worry about now, because you can put those worries to rest, because basically, HBO Max is going to be fine. All it's doing is merging with Discovery Plus. That's all it's doing. It's merging with Discovery Plus to become an even bigger service with more offerings, which I think is a good thing. I think it's honestly a good thing. Hold on for a second. Like I said, honestly, I think it's a good thing, because you're going to get more offerings. And like I said, yeah, the main priority is going to be focusing and promoting the shows that are new, the shows that are more popular and stuff, but they're still going to have everything that's probably still on there, along with what's still on or what's being shown on Discovery Plus, and what's popular on Discovery Plus, what's popular on HBO Max. Those are going to be priorities, along with some of the new stuff and along with some of the new programming, I should say, that we brought to the table. Well, they will still have, like I said, all the shows and documentaries and movies that, you know, they are known for having, you know, still being there. Basically, it's going to be like, what's going to be the main priority? You know, what's going to be the main viewpoint and streaming viewpoint, if you will, for people that tune in. That's going to be the main priority. But everything else will still be there. It's just the main focus. Like when you tune into the streaming service, they always highlight, oh, you need to see this, you need to see that, you need to watch this, you need to watch that. That's going to be what they do. And I think it's going to be a great thing. I think it's going to be good. So yeah, for anybody that was worried about HBO Max's future, anybody who's worried about Discovery Plus's future, like I said, I think you can put those worries to bed now, because both are going to be safe, and both within a year are going to be better than they've ever been as one service, in my opinion. But that wasn't the only thing that was announced today. What was also announced is, what's the word I'm looking for? Hold on. Oh yeah, that, you know, the other announcement they made today, that in spite of the fact that Batgirl got canceled, Scooby-Doo Holiday Haunt got canceled, despite being nearly completed on both ends, the announcement that came out, I guess, to what's the word I'm looking for, to kind of soothe any kind of tension or anger at these cancellations, David Zalsav and his team made the announcement that they are going to take a page out of Marvel's playbook, Kevin Feige's playbook, if you will. And just like Kevin Feige and Marvel are going to, you know, or have been doing, I should say, they over at Warner Brothers Discovery and DC are going to go the 10-year plan route. In other words, they see how and why the MCU under Kevin Feige and Disney and Marvel Studios has been successful, and they're deciding we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go that 10-year plan route, so that when we, you know, get to where we want to get to, it'll be worth it. Like when we want to get to our certain event movies, like crossovers, team-ups, and all that, it'll mean something and not feel like it's all, you know, just all over the place, with confusion and conflict and all that. So yeah, they made the announcement that, you know, basically they're going to have, I don't know when it's going to start. I don't know if it's going to start with the Flash movie. I don't know if it's going to start with Aquaman 2, Black Adam. Well, whenever it starts, they are going to have a 10-year plan from now on, so that, you know, this way there's no confusion. There's no, wondering, okay, when is this going to happen? When is that going to happen? There's going to be no rushing. It's all going to be set in stone. I told you, basically, that one of the things he wanted to do was have a structured plan, not just for the company, but for a lot of the, properties they own. And this is one of them. This is one of the properties they own, DC Comics, or DC now, that they wanted to have. They wanted to have a structured plan for. They wanted to have a blueprint of showing them how to, getting from point A, I should say, to point B. And that's what they're doing. So I think that's a good thing, and I think it's going to be beneficial for the DC properties in the future. With a theatrical, streaming, exclusives, made for TV, or it's following, well, because again, it sounds like it's following the same plan that Marvel's doing. So it could mean that whatever their phases are, their first official phase, I guess, is going to probably be a combination of, here's a theatrical film, here's a show on HBOMAX or CW that ties into it. So that might be what happens. We don't know. But yeah, basically he's making sure that they have a structural 10-year plan for DC and their movies and all that, and the properties they want to focus on, so that there is no rushing into, we have to catch up to Marvel and everything because they're beating us. Let's rush, the Justice League. Let's rush, Batman v Superman. Let's do this, let's do that. No, what they're doing here is they're saying, let's pace it out. Let's plan from the first step to the last step, year by year, on what we're going to do. And I think that's a great idea. Like I mentioned, in the previous video, and I just did now, one of the things I think he wants to do is go for that structured blueprint planning for all of the studio and all its properties. He wants to have a plan, a structured plan, I should say, laid out for what they're going to do in the future. And right now, it looks like they're starting so with with the DC, formerly DC Comics, and their movie properties based on, the comics themselves. But yeah, that's the other thing that came out of the other big news that came out today. So overall, I think the idea is good, and I can't wait to see what they bring to the table. But that's all I'm gonna say, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on it, and until then, I will talk to y'all later. But yeah, I think they're off on the right foot now, going into the future with David Zalsav in control, whether people like it or not. I think they're off to a good start with these two big announcements coming out in the investors' earnings call conference today.